Welcome to Monday's meditation, and this week's meditation is going to connect with the remedy vine, which is for those of us who are rather inflexible when it comes to letting others make decisions for themselves because we think we know best. So I invite you now to make yourself comfortable if you already haven't. Just make sure that your physical body is supported and comfortable on whatever surface that you've chosen to be on at the moment. So just becoming aware of your physical body and all the contact points that it has with surfaces. Just noticing where your feet are, noticing the connection that they have with the surface that they're on. Noticing where your elbows are and whether they are connected to a surface or not. Noticing your back, hopefully supported by a surface, and if not, that your hips are supported and that you are sitting upright and not slouched. Noticing your hips, your thighs, your shoulders. And noticing again where you've placed your hands. Noticing your fingers, your thumbs. Noticing the palms of your hands. Noticing whether your palms are turned up or turned down. I invite you to place your hands in your lap, one on top of the other, with your thumbs gently touching. And just notice how that feels. I invite you now to become aware of your breath going in at the tip of your nose, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, you can tell yourself you're breathing in, and breathing out, you can tell yourself you're breathing out. Just acknowledge any thoughts that are around, and I suggest that you have a little look inside your head and just look at what thoughts are there. And sometimes the process of looking at our thoughts can actually slow them down, make them less, because we're paying attention to them, not trying to avoid them and not being consumed by them. So just having a little look and noticing what kind of thoughts are going on in your head just now. Are they random? Are they plans? Are they an emotion, a feeling, a mood? Are you replaying an event, a conversation? Just try and let all of that go and really bring your attention back to your breath. You've acknowledged those thoughts, and now it's time just to find that peacefulness that's inside of us. Breathing in at the tip of your nose and breathing out there. Just allowing yourself to surrender to the automatic systems that your body has. The systems that are in place so that we can relax and just let go. We don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about our heart beating. We don't have to think about our digestion happening. We don't have to think about the oxygen being taken by our lungs and the carbon dioxide being dispelled by our lungs. It just happens. We don't need any control over it. We can allow it, we can surrender to it, to the trust that all is well. And now I want you to switch off your logical mind and allow your higher self or your imagination to take over. And I want you to imagine that you're at the foot of a mountain. And there are people with you who you may or may not know, but you are leading this party. And you are going to lead them up the mountain. And I want you to pay attention to the fact that when you start the journey, you decide to either go in front or behind of them. Just notice that as you start the journey, you've chosen to either be in front or behind, but you are in charge, and how does that make you feel? Are you happy to be in charge? For people to be doing this your way, following you up this path. And as you go up the mountain, the path splits in two, and half of the party want to go on the other path. I want you to think about how you feel with them leaving your guidance, your leadership, but they are going to go off on that path on their own. And just be aware of how that makes you feel, whether you like or dislike it, or whether it makes no difference to you. And you continue up the mountain with the people that you have left in your party. And again you find a fork in the path. And again, half of the party want to go off on this path and leave you, leave your guidance, leave your leadership. And again, just pay attention to how that makes you feel, because they are going off on their own. And they do, and you continue up the mountain. And you only have a couple of people left following you. And there is another fork, and these people decide that they are going off onto this other path without you. And they do, and you are left by yourself with no one to lead, just yourself. And just be aware of any thoughts that come in around that, any emotions that you feel. And you continue up the mountain on your own, perhaps with some thoughts, with some judgments, with some feelings about these other people. Just be aware of what those feelings are, what those thoughts are. And you reach the top of the mountain. And you're the first one there. And there's a huge table in the middle, a round table in the middle of the top of the mountain, and you go and you sit there. And each group arrives fairly quickly behind each other, and they come and they join you at the table, a little bit hesitantly because they're not sure of your reaction to them having gone on the rest of the journey by themselves, but you are aware of how you feel, and you are aware of how good it was for them to have climbed the mountain on their own. And so you invite them to join you and to share their adventures on the mountain and the paths. And you hear that they had split off into other paths by themselves, and every one of them had made it to the mountaintop by themselves on their own path. And you listen and you hear how difficult or how easy their path was, and you smile and you accept that there are other ways to climb a mountain other than the way that you climbed the mountain. And you absorb that feeling of softness, of I'm looking for a word and I've lost the word, but I think you'll know the feeling. Acceptance of there being other ways. And then there was silence. How does silence make you feel? Looking at these other people in silence, being aware of them doing things. How does that make you feel? Perhaps you can think about people in your life that you try to guide to do things the best way. And perhaps there's resistance from them to do it your way. Perhaps their way is an okay way, even if it is a different way from yours. Something to think about. And now it's time to go down the mountain, and I want you to be open to having someone else lead you down the mountain, rather than having to do it by yourself, rather than thinking you know what's best for everyone, but especially for yourself. Being open to the person that said they had a really easy climb up the mountain, and perhaps it was easier than yours. And trust that it's okay to follow someone else, that you don't always have to be in charge. And you decide to let someone else lead you down the mountain. And just be aware of how that feels to follow someone else, to let someone else be in charge. Just acknowledge any emotions, any thoughts that come in, and just allow yourself to come down the mountain, noticing anything that you can see in the distance, anything you see or feel on the way down. And you find yourself down at the bottom of the mountain. Just think about how that felt to not be in charge, to allow someone else to be in charge, to know that you got down the mountain anyway, and it was easy. It was easier than doing it by yourself. It was easier than trying to lead everyone else down. It was simple. And now I just want to bring you back to your own space. I want to bring you back to your own space just to spend a couple of minutes with your breathing. Just allowing your breath to come in at the tip of your nose and allowing it to leave there. Perhaps noticing when the in-breath becomes an out-breath. Just noticing that little pause that happens. And just for 1 minute, I'm going to leave you there with your breath. Just notice if your thoughts drag you off, and just gently bring yourself back to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. There's nowhere else to be, nothing else to do right now. So just for the next minute, just allow yourself to breathe. As we allow others to be in charge of themselves, we can inspire them, we can encourage them, we can watch them, we can guide them if we're asked. But we don't always have to be in charge, and our way is not always the right way. And I leave you with that thought today, of perhaps not always needing to have it done your way, or not not needing to have the last word, or not needing to be in charge. So just bringing your attention to your toes and giving them a wiggle, bringing your attention to your fingers and giving them a wiggle, bringing your attentions to your ears and giving them a wiggle, and smiling, and just taking a couple of deeper breaths, really connecting your breath and your body, and just gently opening your eyes, becoming aware of your surroundings, making sure that you get yourself a drink, and that when you rejoin your day that your feet are firmly planted on the floor and that you feel that connection. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.